Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another fun edition of my Grue Rume Show. And for the Grue Rume Show today, I got a very awesome guest. He was in the latest horror movie that's out called Evil Dead Rise, and I'm talking about Mark Mitchinson. And we're going to talk to him about the Evil Dead Rise and about his other films and about his life. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Room, and my interview with Mark becoming up very soon. This is my Grue Room, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out and coming on the show, bud.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man. Very welcome.
Awesome. So like the first thing I want to ask you is typical question is like is what drew you to want to act? Like when did your passion start for it?
I reckon I was sort of a generation that grew up with those, acting greats, Marlon Brando and James Dean and all those early kind of films that as a kid I kind of went, oh my God, it's just like they're just, they're great scripts, they were great actors. It seemed like it was like and they all kind of had that method and they were all involved in that sort of, way of working. And that really inspired me. And so that's why I kind of think I always wanted to be an actor. But my old man he was an Anglican preacher. So,
Oh wow.
every Sunday it was kind of like the performance up on the stage, of the church. I was like, this is quite a good job. And and then people watching you and doing, and I guess a bit of the show off gene, and so I started sort of early, as a kid, in theatre shows and then at school and high school and then kind of went on to drama school in London, and then it all stopped.
Oh.
I came out of drama school and was like, nah, I can't be doing this. This is just like waiting around for people to call or agents, maybe doing some kind of, some repertory theatre in London or outside London. I was like, no, I've got to go. So I came to the States, actually. I moved to the States and sort of ended up writing a book and doing stuff, and then got involved in all kinds of things until really the first 20 years until I came back to New Zealand. And
Oh wow.
so that was in 2002. And then I had a couple of kids. We met my wife, and we had a couple of kids. And an old friend of mine, our godparent of my daughter, he was an actor and a casting director, and he said, "Look, why don't you audition for this show called Amazing Extraordinary Friends," which was a kind of kids show, and I was playing this kind of Ray Winston gangstery kind of England East End guy, and I got the part. And it sort of switched the light back on for me. And I kind of came back to it with fresh, I was no longer worried too bad about myself in it. You know what I mean? It was kind of like I was getting parts because I just thought I could play that guy. Oh, I know guys like that can play that, and it took off. I got I think the kind of big role that's kicked everything off was I was playing this guy called Colin Bauer in a film called Bloodline.
Okay.
And Bloodlines was about a South African guy who murders his wife. He's a head of psychiatry at Dunedin University in New Zealand, and it was a true story. And he ends up murdering his wife, and it's the sort of story of him in the trial and kind of. Yeah, so that in that kind of right. Hey, bad guys. He can play the bad guy. So, from then on, it was sort of, give us a call if you need a bad guy, you know what I mean? And there was, which is always you've got to be kind of careful of with acting, you know what I mean? Because then you get suddenly into a stereotype of just
Yeah, that's true.
That's what you play, and actors like to have that sort of breadth of doing all different things. So in the midst of all that, we've written our own comedies, and we've done some stuff and worked at, and trying to get other much more broad range and variant material. So that's been great. And of course then films on top of that, and most recently Evil Dead Rise, which is a
Yeah.
kind of, which is the one that kind of, which was great because he's a sort of strange little character in it. You know what I mean? He does, he's not in, but Mr. Fonda has become that guy who goes like, he's the one who gets the great line with Lily when he's, that's my gun, you fucking cunt. She's like, get it back. And I was like, I've got the best line in the show.
Yeah, that's true. You do.
Which we see to film for days and days and days, covered in blood, lying on the floor with guts and stuff flying out. Brilliant.
So how's that like laying in blood and guts for days and days? Like,
well, as you can imagine,
do you get used to that?
The thing is that once you've been in a horror film and then you go back and watch horror films, you're like, oh, it's just they're just not as horror, they're just not as frightening anymore, because you get like, well, hang on, I know exactly what's going on there, and you go, oh, wait for the jump cut, here it comes, boom, and off you go, But the blood and guts thing with Evil Dead was just it was next level. Do you know what I mean? There was so much gore in it that that we just kind of we'd all end up coming and just sweatshirts and track pants and kind of going, all right, let's go. And then for days we would just absolutely be covered in blood, and Lily and the main two women in it were just days and days and days up to their necks and tanks of blood, so it was and it's sticky and it's sweet and it's kind of like horrible, so it's like it's not a huge amount of fun to be around.
Well, I saw the film, the Evil Dead Rise, and I loved it because I'm a big horror fan, and I'm sure you could tell with Chucky in the background. But I'm a huge horror fan. I love the whole film series of the Evil Dead, and anyone that's a fan of the film series knows that the Evil Dead always has a lot of gore, a lot of blood. So going into the Evil Dead Rise, I was expecting the blood and the gore, and it didn't disappoint.
Well, I think it was also there's that's one side of the expectations, but I think what was good about this one is that it had a really good story.
Yeah, it did.
It was it's quite contained. There's not many characters. It's in this kind of this strange apartment block, and I liked the new slant on it, because it could have easily just been dragging the old story out, and I thought it had a bit more weight and integrity to it than perhaps just making an old sequel of it, and grinding it out.
True. That, yeah.
Do you like the new Chucky kind of launch? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, well, the television series of Chucky is amazing. Like, I love it.
Right. Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, like the television series has been great. Like, from what I hear, they're coming back for season 3, which I'm really happy for, and just the films were great. The TV series was great. The reboot that they did of Child's Play of Chucky, I didn't really care for that too much, because that didn't feel like a Chucky film to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like Halloween 3 when it first came out. They were going like, "What the? No Michael Myers? What the? This is not Halloween, man!"
Right? Yeah. Exactly. I know.
I kind of it's interesting because I was talking the other day to in a podcast with the horror guys, and we were just working out the kind of the best films that the horror genre has kind of introduced in the last 50 years, and yet this it's the remake has become the kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and I've yet to have a horror that comes through that's kind of made me go, now there's the future of horror. You know what I mean? They did that sort of thing around motels and, you know, the slashy kind of ones, which are the sort of torture ones, which I actually didn't, that wasn't so much horror for me. That was more kind of like, just felt nasty. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still awaiting. I watched Halloween Halloween Ends the other day, and I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Right?
I wasn't feeling that.
Nah.
Halloween and Halloween Kills, I thought they were both really good, but Halloween Ends failed. Like it didn't. To end that trilogy of films the way they did it, it didn't feel right.
Well, the thing is that now they've got nowhere to go. You know what I mean? That's it now, right? We're done. You know, we're done with Michael Myers. Okay, just say we're done with Michael Myers. He's finished.
Well, yeah. After what they did to him, there's no coming back from that.
I don't want any more Freddy. I'm done with Freddy. You know what I mean? I'm like done with Jason. Come on, guys. Come on, guys in Hollywood. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bad Santa here, isn't there? There's kind of like, you know, there's something.
And like you being in the Evil Dead Rise, like that wasn't the first time you ever were part of the Evil Dead stuff. Like you were part of the television show Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah. And Ash was because it was all filmed here in New Zealand, so kind of, you know, so quite a few of the parts kind of were engendered here, and yeah, that was just a madhouse of all proportions. That, but you know, again, I think what Sam Raimi and you know, and the Rob Tappert are very good at are taking a genre. This is what I was kind of trying to get allude at before, which is they take a genre and really kind of do something quite interesting with it. They don't just keep it in its old kind of, you know, set ways. And I think the Evil Dead, that's why I think this Evil Dead brought a whole new audience to the you know, to that world. And I think that's how clever they've been, you know, choosing a good young new horror director as well. I think Lee was really, this wasn't just a job for him, you know. He wasn't just coming in painting the numbers. We all had characters. We did a lot of depth within the characters and the talking and the stuff. And I think before we shot anything, there was a comfortability between us all on set, because it was just a small, you know, they all know each other in that apartment building. They've all helped each other in that apartment. So there's a familiarity to the characters. And I think that small little drama with this horror put onto it, I think works really well. And that's a real credit to Lee, who wrote the whole script and as well. So yeah, he's one definitely to watch. Lee Cronin.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's got a good career ahead of him. And I will be in every one of his movies. Okay. He'd be like, fuck off.
Hey, you did great in the Evil Dead Rise, so I don't see why he wouldn't want to put you in other films.
You're very kind. Thank you, brother. Just keep going up. Bring back Mr. Fonda. We want Mr. Fonda. Wherever. Who's the guy who played Mr. Fonda? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because you know, they always used to. I remember somebody saying there was, you know, there's no small parts, there are only small actors. You know, and I always loved when I was a kid growing up, always those actors who were kind of like the ones who kind of had a scene and were just like the ruggedy old cowboy who comes in and, you know, shoots probably, then dies, you know, halfway through it and stuff. But they're quite good characters to play, you know.
Yeah.
You're not having to lead the film. You're not having that, you know, you're not going to be the kind of big hero or the big villain, but you are, you know, if you make it to screen, that's
yeah, definitely.
You know, because there's a lot of cutting and a lot of movement after in post, you know, that people just your part gets made bigger or made smaller, or wherever it goes to fit into the film. So it's a kind of films especially are quite interesting for an actor, because it's kind of you really see yourself as part of the whole picture, and that can be very rewarding, and of course devastating when you're like, I have so much more.
Well, you were trying to be a hero in the film because you did try saving them until what happened. But your character was trying hard to save them, and I mean, it didn't work out, but at least he tried.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can't do anything like that. You can't do anything once that damn book's open, It's quite funny because I also did the voice of the priest on the record.
Oh, get out! Really?
Yeah. So
Oh.
so that was me as well, actually. So a little kind of trivia.
Because that voice was creepy. You were really good with that.
He does voice as well. Damn. Right.
Right, exactly. And how did you wind up getting the role for the film? Was it because of your work with Ash?
Yeah, I think I auditioned, and Lisa Orton was kind of chose me straight off. So it was kind of it was like it was kind of one of those weird things that happen in your life, and you go through an audition, you forget about it, and then they go like, hey, that film Evil Dead, they want you. I'm like, wow, okay, great, right. So they should. But it's auditions for actors. It is so you do them, and then you kind of have to forget about them, because it's just, if you hold on waiting for the the possibility, it's just, and there's so many variables that are at play when you get chosen for a part, and it's tricky, because you can't help but kind of go, it's me, isn't it? It's me. It's all me. I should be better. I am great. Oh, it's like, oh god, it's a roller coaster.
Oh yeah, especially if you really like the role and you really want it, and you don't hear back from them, and then you start getting nervous. Yeah,
totally. And it always takes much longer than actors think. You know what I mean? As you say, you've done the audition Tuesday, and you think by Friday, well, they should have listened. It's like, man, they haven't got to you yet.
And is there a scene from the film that you had the most fun doing?
That corridor scene, when we're looking for the cat, and when everybody's still just a bit normal, because because Lily and I had just met, so we were kind of just getting to know each other, and Alicia was coming in to see her. So it was quite early. It was shot early on that, so we were all getting to know each other, when we weren't filming. And it was just we all just got on real well. It's one of those ones where you go, nobody's going back to their trailer. We're all on set, because it's just we've just stay there. So the camera, that's how you get to know people. And
well, yeah, exactly.
Because we're in a kind of crazy 7 weeks, and you go like, right, well, we just might as well get on. It's much easier just to get on than it isn't. And we did. And so there was a lovely, we played around, it's quite playful. And then we went into the bedroom scene where she's dead, and so we had a nice vibe to it. It was kind of relaxing, which sometimes it's not on set. Sometimes it's like, people behave badly and don't know their lines, and it's so that was awesome. And Lily's a powerhouse, and she's become a really good friend of mine.
Nice.
My wife's. So during COVID, she got locked down in New Zealand, so she stayed with us, and
okay.
It's been a really nice friendship that's kind of developed between us all.
Yeah, hey, I mean, to be covered in blood for all those days, if that doesn't bond you, I don't know what will.
Totally. Yeah, I know, it's fucking hilarious. Jesus.
And what about, like, do you have a kill from the film that you like the most? Like, was there a certain kill that you liked the most?
Um, I did like the end. I did know, only because I know what Lily went through at the when the monster goes into Mr. Fonda's, into the back of the. Because I knew that went on for days, and she was bruised and battered and
Oh
kind
my
of like,
god.
she was thrown around a lot, and so it's, but I do like the Mr. Fonda come back to life,
Yeah,
and try and get the gun, and she's like boom, boom. That was, there are. It was genuinely, I think, genuinely because it's a mother turning on her children. It's so sort of dark,
it is.
It's
It
so
is.
sort of like sinister, because you're just not quite expecting it to be so visceral and kind of like, wow, she's just going to kill a kid.
I know, right?
Whoa,
Exactly.
you know?
I mean, especially that scene where the mom is in the tub and she's jumping out of the tub
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
"Your
yeah.
mom's not here anymore." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is creepy."
And a really great performance by the little actress. She's fucking great, that young actress. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, and I quite like there was lots of unknowns, in that show. It was a good, there was a broad range of good performances. It was
Oh,
good,
definitely.
and I think the ensemble piece that Lee created the space for really works well in a film like that, because it's got jeopardy all the time,
Yes. Yes.
and the jeopardy has to work for an audience. And I think that's one of the things that people come out and went like, yeah, that was genuinely quite full on, you know. Mm.
And what do you like doing between takes? No matter, like, I mean, not whatever film set you're on. It doesn't have to be the Evil Dead, but like, what do you like doing between takes when you have like some time to kill?
Well, it depends what role you're doing.
Okay.
With Evil Dead, it was kind of it was just like keeping warm, eating snacks, just going like, right, because a lot of the time we were covered in shit, and or we had the prosthetics hanging out of us and stuff like that. So but but sometimes if it's a comedy, quite often not a comedy, people stay around because they want to keep that energy going, and
Okay.
they're kind of like, and I recently did Our Flag Means Death, which is a kind of a show on it's on Neon here. I'm not sure, it's a HBO, I think, or
Oh,
Showtime.
nice.
It's with Taika, and it's a comedy, and it's all about sailors and mad. But again, it was that everybody stays on set because it's just to keep that energy kind of alive. And but on serious things, when if you've got a lead sometimes it's just going right, keeping your head
Yeah.
in the space that you've got to do, and that's probably you go back and find some space for yourself. I'm not a huge trailer guy, I wish. Hey. But going back to your trailer, it's just sort of like I like to be, once I'm working, I like to be around things and be on
Well, yeah,
set,
exactly.
and be close to it, just so you know what's going on, and I think it's a bit detrimental when you remove yourself and then you get called back to set,
Hmm.
and then you think the work begins. I think when you're on set, the work is always going on, and that doesn't mean you can't be interactive with everybody else. It's just knowing that you go, right, this is your place, so
Yeah.
be there around it, get yourself used to it. And I just think it helps for things to make yourself feel a bit more relaxed, and you because everybody's there for the same thing.
Well,
They
yeah.
want a great thing, they want to make it good, and they want to make it, and if you're messing around and going like, where is he? Back in his trailer, and he's just messing around. you know Actors can, I think one of the great things about living and working in New Zealand is we have quite an egalitarian system in New Zealand, and it's so we all we all work for the same kind of, we were all working for the same result, which is basically, let's get the show on and let's make the best we can do. And we don't really have a star system and a kind of thing, so it's kind of, it's a very small, close little community, but it's we all work kind of for the same thing, and that's sometimes different on big sets. That can be, when you've got big stars or you've got people who that can be tricky, because not all of them behave well.
Well, yeah, I'm sure like some bigger stars want to be in their own trailer, and
Sure,
so it would be hard.
I get that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I get that.
exactly.
But the good ones that I've worked with, and I've worked with some pretty big stars, they are not like that.
Oh, good, good.
They invite you in, or they're going like, let's go and have a coffee, we'll go to my trailer, or they'll go, there's much more of a camaraderie around the piece that you're in. I think I think once it gets into being, once people feel like it's just a job,
yeah,
once they get into, oh my God, I'm just here, well, at least the paycheck's good, I'm just gonna, if you're in one of those situations, that can be just tiresome, because you end up, the other actors end up, and the crew and everybody ends up waiting around, and it's just like, come on. Be home in 20 minutes, man. All you have to do is stand there and say 2 lines. It's like,
I know, right? Exactly. I mean, you can't be on set for that. You have to run the trailer. Like, really?
I had a situation once. I had a situation recently where it was a scene, and it was open field, and we were, there was lots of people, lots of extras doing the thing, and the actor, who I won't name, but on their phone, and the camera's on me as a reaction shot to this thing, and that camera, but it's also on the other actor, getting a reaction shot from them, and the other actor, who is the star of the film, just on the phone. Everybody's waiting, and I was like, would you get off your phone now? Because we've got to just get on with it. You know what I mean? I'm like, because I'm too old now to be kind of like the polite guy. Go, hey, excuse me, fuck this. Get off your phone. The actual shot is on me, and I'm hot, and it's getting hot, and I'm
yeah, exactly.
Then I was like, come on. And I just think it's that sort of, if you're not going to be polite, and you're going to be actually rude because you can be, then I'm not going to tolerate. That's just rude. That's just rude.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's rude in life. Do you know what I mean? That's not just you being, because you're doing all the kind of you're throwing your power around, and frankly, there's sets shouldn't be like that, and the good sets aren't. The good sets aren't. And certainly, Evil Dead wasn't like that. Evil Dead was just
good.
just like trying to get through while people threw buckets of blood over us. Let's go again. Really? We've done it 700 times, Lee. Please, no, just one more time. Okay. Yeah.
Please, I want to get this blood off of me.
Yeah. God. Ridiculous.
Probably have to go in the shower and wash your head and everything.
Totally. And it's just forever to get off, right?
was there I mean for a movie as scary as The Evil Dead Rise was there any funny or cool behind the scenes stories that happen on set?
Yeah, I mean, all it's just it was a riot, really. It's just, it really was, and partly because Lily and Alicia were so great to work with. They were very and I did most of my stuff with Lily, and she was just, Lily will always be like that. She kind of can see her just being, she's just down to earth. She's really committed. She's really good. And it's a joy to work with people like that, because you just go, oh my God, you're not a prima donna. You're not a, and she's got a great sense of humor, and we're just, so the whole thing was just a joy, but in terms of crazy things, it's actors are always playing tricks on each other. You know what I mean? There's always kind of, and it was just lots of that. You know, I think I think one stage I got somebody swapped one of my herbal cigarettes for a joint. You know, and I was like, suddenly I was like, what's that? We got another like, I'm smoking a joint right now. What the? I don't like. I know. They're all pissing themselves, you know. Oh Jesus! You know, you gotta watch them. Always play checks on the big fella. Hey, you're playing checks on the old fella, eh? Okay.
And you also do voice work too. Like I seen you did a voice for a video game, and plus you've done the Mighty Morphin Rangers.
Yeah.
Like you did like a few different shows for them, not just one show.
Yeah, Power Rangers is kind of, because again, it's all filmed here. So you know, they come down to New Zealand and they pick us up nice and cheaply, and we say yes, thank you very much, and pay us the money. We all go away, cap in hand. Great. You know, it's we were just talking about that actually the other day. It's just, you know, because it's quite a small little country. So, but it's sort of, you know, punches above its weight in terms of the crews and the actors, and the, you know, it's there's a lot of talent down here, and it's hard when the talent doesn't get remunerated like it should. You know, that can be, you know, that can be hard when you're working with SAG actors, and you they bring out the SAG contract, you sign here, and you go like, oh great, you bring ours, which is like some raggedy old toilet paper. All right, okay, sign your life away here, thank you very much. Yeah, but it is what it is. You know, we get some really good jobs down here, and Sweet Tooth was all filmed down here, which is on.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
You know, and we've had, you know, obviously the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and all that kind of, you know, crazy madness was all done here. So yeah.
Oh wow, nice. And when you aren't acting and doing voice work, like what do you like doing during your free time?
I'm a very keen gardener, so I
Oh
do
wow,
like,
nice.
yeah. So I grow, and I've been growing citrus for quite some time. So I've got, and then of course it's winter here, so now I'm just got more citrus than I know what to do with. You know, so I got lemons and limes, and so we're into that season at the moment. Yeah, so I kind of stick around home. You know, do lots of. We've got this little place by the beach in just out of Auckland, and there's always work to do on it. So, and you know, it sort of rolls over, and work comes in, and I'm working again from October, which is nice.
Sweet.
So I've got sort of, you know, a little few months off here, and just kind of potter around the house.
Okay.
You know, old man and his dog, you know. like Hemingway doing something, you know, without too much of the booze. Yeah.
And, what kind of songs do you like listening to? Like, what's on your playlist?
What have I got on at the moment? I mean, I've just got Spotify did this really annoying. I mean, it's not annoying. It's that, you know, that kind of thing when you get like you get the weekly, and you go,
oh yeah.
So they've taken a sort of homogenous thing of what you've listened to, and they give you the weekly. You know, this is what you've been listening to. I'm like, Jesus, really? Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of listening to all kinds of things at the moment. It's a very eclectic kind of little. Who's on it? Yola Tenga are on there, and Floating World Pictures, Hugh Mark Barnett. But I'm still, you know, I'm on my Bruce is never far away from my playlist, just because it's just, you know, because I grew up kind of in the days where Ashby Park, New Jersey, and you know, and his early stuff I love, and you know, you kind of have there are people who travel through your life, and there's a little bit of a playlist for your life, and so he's never that far away, and he's getting old now, you know, so he's like, bless him, still touring, doing his thing. I did once go to a Bruce Springsteen concert. I looked around. I was like, Jesus, am I one of these? Am I one of these people? Sorry to the Bruce fans out there. I know you're all great, man. You're all...
Yeah, Bruce is still doing it though. He's still touring and everything.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Still doing it. Yeah, but I'm very eclectic taste in music. Yeah, all over the show. You know, I wouldn't say there's I love finding new music. I went through a whole I used to work with a company called Palm Pictures years ago, and they had Chris Blackwell had sort of moved into African music, and there was some really great music like Baba Mal and all these really cool, then it was just opened up a whole world of really interesting music.
Oh wow, nice. And if you were doing a karaoke song, what would be your song? What would be your song you would sing?
Forever in Blue Jeans by Neil Diamond.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Neil Diamond, man, he makes it easy. I do quite a good impression of Neil Diamond. You know, you got to be careful because it's Neil Diamond. But you know, my wife goes like, "Oh my, really, really? It'll be Billy Joel next." Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah, no.
There you go. Hey, at least he's another great artist. So yeah.
So, it's just more. It's sort of in your range. You know what I mean? If you're going to do a karaoke song, you know, I saw somebody crucify, demolish, and cut into small pieces. Queen's, you know, the what's it called? You know, what's the big Queen one? You know, then the Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia.
That one.
Just don't do that at karaoke. Well, it's way too long, and it's just like, and you just, man, it's just like, it's not meant to be done at karaoke. They should just take it out. Right? You're like, nah, burn it, burn the thing. Oh.
You're like, oh no, they're not really doing this song, are they?
Yeah.
No,
not Bohemian Rhapsody. Please don't do Bohemian Rhapsody. Don't. And we're going to be here all night. And you're gonna find it difficult in the part, and then you're trying to ask the audience to help you. It just doesn't work, you know.
No, it don't.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't work. Let's try something, you know. Yeah, funny, hilarious. I do quite like karaoke though.
Okay, sweet. And what are some horror films that you love watching? Like some of your favorites?
It's interesting. I was going actually through. Just get this wind sort of. It's windy here in Auckland today.
Wow.
I had to name a top 5 the other day, and I did. I was like, I always loved that first Halloween. The first Halloween was just because I'd never seen anything like it. You know, it was such a great sort of it was beginning of the slasher. You know what I mean? And it was the beginning of that. And as was, you know, you couldn't get past Freddy and the first Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, that was again a brilliant. But I remember watching Poltergeist. You know, Tobe Hooper. Is that who directed Poltergeist, the first one?
I think so.
It was those early ones that nobody can tell me that The Exorcist wasn't one of the greatest horror movies ever. It's just, you know,
one of the best.
Watch that. You still watch that,
yes.
and it has all Exorcist movies ever since. And you can't beat the number that you know.
No, you can't.
William Friedkin. Everybody was just like, that's where you want to get. You'll just never, you know. So it's sort of that. I did. There was so yeah, I would love to say that there's a modern one that I can go. Yeah, I think those, you know, they kind of those Japanese ones with the, you know, the circle and the
the little girl with the long hair coming out of the well. And...
that was good for that. I like that in Japanese. That all the kind of, you know, the modern takes of it has been not so great.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh my God, I got so many. Like I love slasher films like Chucky, Freddy, Michael, Jason. Yeah. And there's like one of my favorite horror films is actually like this old 80s film. It's called Night of the Demons.
Oh yeah. Have you
And
watched a New Zealand one which was filmed here called 80 Days of Night?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's quite good. That's quite a good film. But
The-
that was filmed here.
oh, nice.
Mm.
Okay, okay.
And it's the same people who did Rob Tappert produced it, and the same people who did Evil Dead.
Really?
Mm, mm, mm.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got quite a few horror things that get filmed there then.
Yeah, there's a I think horror became a, horror is at the moment, it's they're sort of trying to, having a renaissance. I think it's kind of, it's making money and people are
It
going to,
is.
just not sure that there's a huge amount going on in this, that, I mean, I think everybody's kind of over all the Marvel sequels of, how much
Yeah.
more, how
Yeah,
much more.
true, true.
I mean, they've got a kids audience to go, and the kids are taking their parents, but I think the parents were like, we were like, oh, wait a minute, can Iron Man just be gone now? Can we just, and then I have to see. I don't want any more Batmans. Fuck with your Batmans. How many more? Who else is going to do it? They should get me to do Batman. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like Batman
There
or
you
Batman.
go.
Like, you know what I mean? It'd be like, oh, I'm so exhausted, man. I've been fighting crime for so long. I just want to sit down, have a little kind of say, can't we just have a chat and sort these problems out? Come on, Joker, man, let's come sit down. Let's sit down.
Come sit down, have a drink,
Yeah, we can chew
want
this. Leave your stupid
something over
Pepsi.
the rocks.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Come on. Yeah, I'm sort of done. So there's no, there's a lot of independent people making great movies, but you don't get to see them because it's quite, they're all off in festivals, or they have to be in festivals, and so
Yeah,
I kind of the great work being done at the moment is in smaller films. I think there's a really lot of really beautiful stuff being made by in the kind of echelons down, in the smaller budget realm. And I
oh,
think that's probably, I'm sure that's probably true of horror too,
oh yeah, definitely.
I bet there's some people getting there, because it's quite a journey to get a small little horror film out into, and then get it to a point where you've got a recognition. I mean, Evil Dead worked, but it had a big following behind it. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
And it
yeah.
had some big money to be able to obviously publicize it like it did. So yeah, finding those new horror directors and people who are doing stuff like in the small scale, I think is probably the place to look.
Definitely, definitely. There's like a lot of low budget horrors I like, and independent horrors. So
Right. Yeah.
you're absolutely right with that.
Mm.
And is there anything coming up for you? Do you want to plug like anything else you're gonna be in?
Yeah, there's a few things coming out. There's a film called One Winter, which is coming out here. I'm not sure if that will be international release. I think they're going to try to. But then there's we've got a big uh, kind of historical movie um, called The Convert, with Guy Pearce is in the lead, and we just finished that. And
Oh, nice.
that's Lee Tamahori, who did Once Were Warriors, which was a big film here. And so that's coming out. So that's going to be quite interesting. And I was in the Tank, which is a quite just come out. I think just been released today.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was all filmed here. Yeah. So that's just a little role in that. And then yeah, so those are the things coming out. And as for coming up, yeah, at the end of this year, start work on another TV series, and then we'll see. Yeah, the world is my oyster, as they say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very small rock oyster in the.
And where can fans follow you at?
They can follow, I guess, on my Instagram. I guess there's an Instagram there, Mark Mitchinson __ I think it is, and my Facebook page. I guess I I'm the generation who went like, what do I mean I've got to have a Twitter account now? What? It's like, so I'm sort of, Instagram's probably the easiest, it's because I put
Okay.
up there from stuff, and it's, yeah, I haven't been a big social media kind of guy, but I just can't believe anybody be interested in an old fool like me, really. It's like, just, I quite potter around. I've got, if anybody needs advice about a limes, or what, wet foot on lemon trees, it's quite hilarious being a sort of an actor, and kind of at the level I'm at,
Yeah.
because it's you kind of get recognized in supermarkets in small villages in New Zealand, and oh, you're that fella off the TV, eh? I saw that bloody film, mate. Yeah. So it's quite like that. So it's quite parochial and quite cute. You know what I mean? I quite like that sort of that closeness to an audience who you see, who don't quite know who you are, but they recognize you on telly or film. It's it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time and doing this. It was really fun chatting.
Yeah, real great chatting with you too, bro. No, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. That's
Yeah,
this is the way to do it. I mean, I think these kind of things are great, because it's not, it's, you got your audience and your following, and it's a specific genre and stuff, and it's nice for us, because it's nice to tell the story from just different angles, rather than the main guys who often have to go and do that as there's a lot of marketing responsibilities when you've got a film like this that I just don't have to do.
Nice.
Sit back and be Mr. Ponder and take all the glory. Yeah. No, real good talking to you, man. Real good talking.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
All right. Well, definitely have a great rest of your day and great week too.
Sure, man. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.